Open up your brown book, baby. It's for you, it's for us. The fantasies, no one can judge us, no one can judge us. This is for us. Open up your brown book, baby. It's for you.
That's cute. That came off like crazy. Hey y'all, hey, it's your girl Shay Baby, and welcome back to another episode here at the Brown Book Series. And tonight, we're bringing on the lovely USA Today's bestseller author of romance and women's fiction. Why do you like romance is spelled wrong? Maybe it's my glasses. Anyway, everyone give it up for first time here on the show, Miss Kilby Blades. Hi, Kilby.
Hi.
How are you, darling?
I'm good. I'm glad. I'm glad to be here. I'm
I'm
really glad
glad
to be here.
I'm glad
I've
you're
been
here.
hiding. I've been hiding for a couple of months, so this is like my first time out in 2023. So thank you for
So,
having me.
so you having your coming out party with us? This is perfect.
I am. Yes. Hello, 2023.
Where have you been though? Like, why have you just been hiding? This holiday stuff still just like lingering. You're like, I don't want to grow up
I
right now.
I've been taking a mental health break. Honestly, I took a big mental health break at the end of 2022. A lot had been happening just with my job that I need to find a new one, and like, people acting up at work and, don't know how to act. So I took a break from them
Right.
so they could realize how much they appreciated me.
See?
And now, I'm back at work and, feeling more like myself. But I definitely, probably from like September, October, November, I just chilled.
I don't blame you. I don't blame you. We was talking about Raw earlier, and I think after that in October, I think I've been asleep since like November 1st. And then,
Yeah.
you know what though? I think we are coming out because you because I'm like, have I really done a real interview this year? Everything else, we've been when Aaron has been like pre-recorded because
Yeah.
I knew I was going to take a mental break. I'm like, I'm going to be out November, December. So yeah, so this is our first together.
This is
It's
our first. This is
yeah.
our first.
Oh, I love having my first with you, Kilby. Now, let's pronounce your name the right way. How
Okay.
do you pronounce? Is it Kilby, Kelby? What is it?
I pronounce it Kilby.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, Kilby. And Kilby is the name. Kilby is not my real name. Kilby is my pen name. And
Yeah.
I named myself Kilby Blades after my friend who I used to write with who passed away.
Oh,
And she also wanted to write novels. And we always said she wouldn't have to change her name because her name was nice. Her name was great. So I've taken on her name as an homage to her.
oh, that is sweet. That's sweet.
Yeah.
And I'm sure she's smiling down real proud.
Yeah.
Now, tell us a little bit about who is USA Today's best-selling author of romance and women's fiction, Miss Kilby Blade. A little bit about yourself.
So I'm actually a television person, and I started writing because I was writing fan fiction because I was sort of rewriting the shows that I disagreed with. It's like, you watch a show and they get two people together or they don't get people together, and you're like, no, and you have to kind of fix it through fan fiction to like get your couple together that you like. That's actually how I started writing romance.
Now, is that like that's not like a copy? I never understood the fan fiction part of it. I'm like, that's not like copywritten. That's not like anything like that. You just take a show and just write. Even though the characters are the characters of the show, you're still allowed to just write a book about them. How does that work?
Yeah, fan fiction is a lot of people who are just mad about how the show is going.
Okay.
Like they're just mad about like like I used to watch Prison Break, and like he
Oh,
fell in love with the doctor. The doctor was, she was the prison doctor, but he was in prison, but they had something going on the show, but then nothing would happen because he's in jail. What's going to happen, right?
right.
So then you got to write fan fiction and get them together because they're not going to get together on the show because he's in jail.
Yeah.
So right. So
So,
like that's what fan fiction is. You gotta make it happen if they're not making it happen on the screen.
so what do you name it though? Can you name it after the show, or how does that work?
You name it after the show. I mean, I think so. Since you're not making any money off of fan fiction, you're not
Right.
really violating anything. So if you're profiting off of it, then they'd come after you. But if you're not making any money, you can kind of borrow the characters, and it's good for authors because authors that have a lot of fan fiction, it gets more people interested in their franchise or like the show. It gets more people interested in the show. So actually, most creators like it if they have fan fiction. It means that they have like a good following, and the fan community reinforces itself.
That's high. And you said, so you just give it away. Well, once you do it, you be like, okay, it's on the website. You can go over there and kind of check it out or whatnot.
Yeah, a lot of super big authors like were writing fan fiction before they started writing original fiction. 50 Shades of Grey was fan fiction.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yep.
Wait a minute. Hold on. Get me together real quick. Okay. So who's it? E.L. James?
E.L. James.
E.L. James. So wait, she started out as fan fiction.
So 50 Shades of Grey was a Twilight fan fiction.
Girl, I'm hanging up. I didn't know that. Do people know that? I didn't know that.
50 Shades of Grey, and she was smart about it too because she published it for free, and then she made it kind of a cliffhanger that if you wanted to know what happened in the second book, so the first book was a fan fiction, and then she had a whole bunch of followers, and then she published it as original fiction, and then you had to buy the second book if you wanted to know what happened. That's one big reason why she got so big, because she was very smart about bringing her fan fiction base over to buy her book.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I'll wait after that. Off air, say all that. So that's interesting. That's real interesting right there. Because I never knew that. I thought that she wrote the book. This is her, you know what I'm saying? Like from the beginning, the characters from the beginning to the end, like this is it. This is a great idea, or what, you know. It kind of all makes sense now. It all makes sense now. Okay. Yeah. All right. Let's me move on before I get in trouble. So now you was honored. Yeah, girl. You was honored with the RSJ Emma Award for Best Debut Author in 2018. Girl, yeah. How was that when you got that award? Was you like, oh shit? Like, what was you think? First of all, how was it when you got nominated? And you know, did you think you was gonna win? And how was this? This is your debut novel. Did you think you was gonna win this?
I think it was validating. I think it's really hard. I think it's really hard being a Black author in romance because we don't always get the recognition. We don't always get the publishing contracts. We don't always get, you know, the same doors open to us and the same opportunities. And I think the Emma was really validating to me because it was very, very early in my career when almost nobody was reading my work, honestly. So it was one of those things that, you know, that just motivates you to keep going. It's not an easy business. You know, it's not an easy business for anybody, and it's not an easy business for Black authors. So, you know, I've been really grateful to the RSJ community. I love the RSJ convention. I love the work that they do. And I think that I feel like over the past 6 years that I've been here in publishing, I've really watched that conference grow as well in ways that I really like.
Right. All right, cool. I absolutely love it. Now, Kilby. Me and my team, somebody said Kilby is a what they tell you was you like motion pictures, like that's you all into the motion pictures. I'm like, okay. So then they said you was a cinephile, and I said, but it's the way listen, they my team, and you know we all different ethnicities, and you know my twang is a little different from twang. And I said. She's like, I'm like, what you trying to call her? But then he was like, I said, O-E. He was like, yeah, like, oh, the wines person. She's the connoisseur of wine. He's like, yeah, Shay. What you thought I was saying? I don't know what the hell you say. I was like, all I heard was foul. I'm like, we need to talk to Blake, Miss Kilby. What's going on over there? So, girl, how did you become a connoisseur of wines? And what's your favorite type of wines to drink?
So I live in California, but I'm a transplant. I'm originally from the East Coast. I grew up outside of Philly, Then I lived in New York for a long time. Then I moved to Chicago. Then I moved to California. And then when I moved to California, I didn't know anything about California. I live outside of San Francisco. But you know what we have? We've got a lot of wine. So I'm about an hour away from Napa. So I decided at the time, I was not writing novels. I had been writing fan fiction, but I decided I wanted to be sort of like a magazine writer. Like I knew I wanted to do writing. And I was like, why don't I become a food and wine writer? Because free food, free wine, good excuse to like just go to a bunch of restaurants, like really good excuse to get to know Northern California just by basically like winery hopping.
Right.
That's what I did. I decided to become a food, wine, and travel writer.
Oh, cool. How was that?
So I could drink wine. And then it became part of my business. So then I could expense wine, and I could expense the wine. I could expense the meals. I could expense the hotel. Like I could expense all of it. But a lot of it I was also getting for free because I was reviewing.
Right.
So it paid nearly nothing. Like the money was terrible, but the lifestyle was amazing.
That's what's up. So that's why you moved to different places from Philly to Chicago to California because of that? No, you did that once you got to California. But what brought you to California from Philly?
So I was living in New York. So I grew up in Philly. Then I was in New York, probably I lived between New York and Europe from my late teens to my early 20s. And honestly, September 11th made me want to leave New York. So I was one of those people. I thought I was going to live in New York forever. I was living in Brooklyn. I was living my best life. I never went west of the Hudson. And then September 11th happened. I was like, nope. And I had been applying to graduate school in New York, and I was like, no. And I stopped applying to New York schools, and I ended up going to school in Chicago just because I wanted to leave New York. So I moved out of New York in like 2002. And then from there, Chicago was cold. The food was good. A lot of good music. A lot of good things about Chicago. Like I like visiting. My sister lives there, but it was a little cold.
Okay.
So then that was like, oh, maybe California.
That's what's up. So how long have you been in California?
Oh, at this point, like almost 20 years.
Wow.
Like 18 years. Yeah.
You love it, love it.
I love it, love it.
I heard that, of course, I've visited there a bunch of times, and I have a whole lot of friends that live there. They're all in LA, Sacramento, San Diego, San Francisco, different places like that. And every time I go, I'm like, I can live here. I can really see myself living here.
There are good things and bad things. It's beautiful. The beach is that way. The wine is that way. The snow is that way. Like everything's here. Disneyland's that way. Like it's all here. But it's different from living on the East Coast. There are things that I miss about the East Coast. Definitely miss the food.
Yeah.
Like a lot.
Yeah.
And I don't think I realized there are not as many Black people. Like I just didn't think that there are not as many Black people.
Mm-mm.
So I live.
We're in pockets, and the places, unfortunately, that me and my friends liked to visit, it wasn't you went always out there. So
yeah, that's the one thing. And that's the one thing, like, I'm raising my kids, and I'm like, that's like, I'm not crazy about that.
Right.
But we live close to, like, I live like right outside of Oakland, and so I live close to where the Black people are. But, yeah.
You go visit the Black people.
Yeah, I can. I just get in my car and go 10 minutes, and there I am. But yeah,
that's what I do here. I live in Massachusetts. I go visit, then I come on back. I'm like, okay, well, I've seen a lot of them today, so I'm good. Because it is sometimes only Black people I see is me and my husband and my dog.
I know. And then we have, like, I don't know, like, where you live, it's like you do the look, like when you see other Black people. Like I belong to the gym, and like I know all the other Black people at the gym, like all like 4 of us, we all know each other.
Girl, I almost hit this lady at Walmart because I'm driving, and I'm like, it's a Black person, and she's looking inside my truck, like I almost hit her because I was so into. Oh my God!
Yeah.
It was crazy. It's almost like when I got out the car too, she's waiting on me, like, hey girl, what you doing here? So,
right.
She was a tourist. She's like, I'm traveling. And I was, everybody keep talking about, playing with the rock and all that. And I saw Walmart. Like, let me stop before I go see the rock. I was like, well, girl. Okay. So that was interesting. But the struggles of it all. Okay, so now we know that Kilby love wine. You can feed you don't have, she'll take wines for pay.
And bourbon. I really like bourbon. Nobody ever paid me to write about bourbon, but I love bourbon.
You love bourbon?
I love bourbon.
Okay. You know what?
I discovered a bourbon brand called Uncle Nearest.
Oh, yeah.
Which I actually put in one of my... Do you drink Uncle Nearest?
Yes, that's Jack Daniels. Uncle Nearest is the one who made Jack Daniels.
Oh, good.
Isn't it? It is. Yeah. It is smoother and woo. Yeah. Uncle Nearest.
Better in every way.
In every way.
In every way.
Yeah, it is. In every way. I'm going to tell Midnight about that. Midnight Ace from Midnight Ace Book Bar. She is, she's booze and books. I think
she likes that.
Yeah, I told her the other day, I think you're more booze and books, but she like that. And speaking of books, Kelby, it brings us to the first segment here at the Brown Book series called Name That Book, where we take a segment, a character, a passage, or something related to one of your books, and you have to name that book.
Okay.
All right. Here we go. Name that book. It's also perfect for riding out a messy divorce and hiding the room full of cash she kind of sort of stole from her ex. Kind of sort of, but not really.
That's from Spooning Leads to Forking.
Spooning Leads to Forking. That is Hiding in the Kitchen, book 2 from your Hiding in the Kitchen series. Tell us a little bit about Spooning Leads to Forking.
So this actually stars, she's a food writer. The heroine in this book is a food writer. And she was married to a controlling husband who she knew she wanted to leave him. He knew she wanted to leave him, and he was like trying to control her. So she had to steal money from the marriage until the divorce lawyers worked it all out, right? She knew it was going to get worked out in the divorce, but in the meantime, she had to get away with some money until they worked it all out. It makes sense.
It made sense. When I read it, it made sense to me too. I don't know. I loved it. All right. Yeah. Name that book. Character. Zuri Robinson.
Oh, so Zuri is in looks good on paper.
Looks good on paper. A little synopsis of what's look good on paper. What is that book about?
Okay, so Zuri lives in Oakland. She works for a cheesy dating app named Hookups, and she hates it. And because she's in customer service and all kinds of crazy things happen, but she really likes writing letters. So she has this pen pal, and he's from Italy. And then Hookups gets bought, and she comes into some money because, like all the .coms, that happens here. That legitimately happens here, where you're like working for a company and it sucks, and then they sell, and all of a sudden you're like an overnight like 100,000-aire. Yeah. So she goes on a trip to Italy to meet her pen pal, but it turns out that it is the person she's writing to is not who she thought she was writing to. It turns out it's his brother, his super hot brother.
Yes. He was like, this moment is incredible. I was like, is she though? I loved it. All right. And that looks good on paper. When did that book come out?
Looks Good on Paper came out this past year. So this is, I think I actually put books of mine next to me. This is Looks Good on Paper.
Good. That book cover is so hot.
Thank you. I like it. It came out in, I went maybe May of this year. Or last year. I should know that. It's September of last year.
You like, hey, it came out right before my break. It was, so
yes, it came out, yes.
That's your latest novel. It looks good on paper. All right. Next up. Here we go. To prevent unfriendly retort, I take a long gulp of champagne. Morning sickness and sore nipples are among the many badges of motherhood I don't envy. Y'all can keep that.
So that is from Snapdragon. Snapdragon was my debut novel. And Snapdragon stars a heroine named Darby who really doesn't want to get married, and she's at the age where all her friends are getting married and they're all talking about their babies and they're all pregnant or breastfeeding, and she's at this wedding with them, and like she's drinking because she's not pregnant or breastfeeding, but all of them are.
All of them. Whole thing. I love it. All right, last one. Here we go. Name that book. For the reasonable price of $1.
So that's It Takes a Villa.
It Takes a Villa. The cover of that book, I absolutely love it.
Thank you for saying that.
I do. I mean, it takes you to, I'm like, are we having a tea party in Italy? Like, this is just, I love it. I was like, you got the cover, you got the book. I like that. I love it. Yes. I was like, this is so neat. It looks so friendly and so romantic and so, breathy, if that makes sense. So,
that was my pandemic book when I wasn't going anywhere, and I was like, because I was one of these people like the full face mask at the supermarket, and I've got the gloves, and I'm probably not even going into the supermarket because I'm getting curbside, and like I was real locked down. Like I was not trying to get COVID. So I wrote It Takes a Villa because it was like travel, like take me someplace else because I'm not getting on a plane. So I'll go someplace else in a book.
I get it. I like it. That was a good book. I was like, look at that. Speaking of likes and all that good stuff is bringing us to the next segment here in the Brown Book series called Who'd You Rather? Where we take your heroes, we pit them against each other, and you let us know who you want to have a one-night stand with.
You don't need to ask the question because the answer is all of them. But go ahead.
You got to pick and choose. All right, you ready? Who'd you rather?
Yes.
Dev Kingston or Maximilian? Not Max Corelli. I know. Don't cuss me out later, okay?
I'm gonna say Dev.
You gonna say Dev? Okay.
I'm gonna say Dev.
Why Dev?
Max is, I think, so one of the taglines for my brands is betas in the streets, alphas in the sheets.
Yeah.
I think Dev's more of an alpha in the sheets.
Okay.
Dev's a little freaky, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I'm very okay with it. Yes. All right. Next up, who'd you rather? Jag or Nico? His fine.
Nico.
Okay. Now Jag is, but we just talking about one night stands, and Nico, yeah.
Nico. Yeah. I think it's the accent. It's like, like that Italian accent, like just talk. It's like, how some people you just want to hear them read the phone book.
Yes.
Like English people too, like Idris Elba, and like it's like, just talk.
Just talk to me. I love it. Okay. Yeah. Last up, who'd you rather? Forrest Winters or Jed?
Forrest.
It's Forrest for you, girl.
Yeah, which is the same thing for me because like I like the southern thing because like I'm not from the South,
right?
So like I like the southern accent for me. Like the Chris Brinkley reads in the audiobook Forrest Winters.
Yes,
I love it.
Okay, I love this. All right, Author's Moments. We know you got to go, so we're gonna ask you 2 good questions. Everybody wants to know. Author's Moments. What's your most urgent priority for the rest of the year?
I think I want more of my books in audio. I love audiobooks so much. I only listen to audiobooks.
Audiobooks are the best. I'm telling you, girl.
They're the best.
You gotta have the right narrator though, Kelby. When you get your audio, get the right narrator, please.
Yes.
Gotta be.
So, and it's hard because some of the audiobooks I have control over and some of them that I don't. So some of my self-published books I produce myself, and I love audio so much that I handpick the narrators for those. And it's hard when I can't handpick the narrators.
Oh.
But I'm also listening to a lot of audio. So that's my other thing. I started reading a lot more at the end of the year. So I'm writing slower, but I'm loving reading more books right now.
Oh yeah, girl. It's good. And audio just, oh my God. I'd be like, what the hell? What they say? And then when I read along with them reading to me, It's like a whole different experience. It's just I just can't take it. Ron Butler is my favorite narrator. I love him.
So tell me, give me a book that he's narrated that you love, because I don't think I've
Girl,
heard him.
any of Brenda Jackson's books.
Okay.
I'm gonna get
I've
them.
only read Brenda Jackson in paperback. I actually don't have audio of Brenda Jackson.
Oh my God, I'm gonna send you a good book, girl. That you gonna be
All
like,
right, seriously.
yes, and you put them headphones on, and my sweet Jesus, and then Jacoby Dim.
Okay.
Even with him, certain, but girl, unfortunately, Francine, have you listened to that book by Joan Vassar?
No.
It's like a dark romance. I'm gonna have to send you that too. I'm gonna see two books. One by Brenda Jackson, so you can hear Ron Butler, and you gotta listen to Jacoby do Unfortunately Francine by Joan Vassar.
Okay.
Girl, your husband go walk in the room, you be like, talk to me. Just go.
Oh, it's already like that. They know when they see this. They know. Like,
Girl,
don't.
But now they go see it, and you're gonna be smiling. They're gonna be like, what the hell is wrong with mommy? Why is she smiling like that in a daze? Hey girl, I'm telling you, you'd be like, what? You counseling interviews, you tell you. All right, next up, Author's Moments. And being a novelist, what did you learn a little too late?
I think I learned that readers readers don't necessarily like you jumping around. So actually now I have several different pen names, because I do jump around a little bit in what I write. So some of what I write is rom-com, and some of what I write is steamy. So like my first series was steamy, and then I wrote that, and people were like, "Ah," and then like people got mad the next series wasn't steamy.
Oh, so you just do. So when you're different pen names, so do they know it's you?
Yeah, for some of them, yes, some of them, no. Same thing with like women's fiction. Like I have a different women's fiction. At first, I was going to write women's fiction under Kilby Blades, and I was like, no, because it's different enough that. And I understand it. It's the same thing. Like when I read something by an author and I love it, and I want to go read the next thing by them, and I want it to be somewhat similar.
Right.
So like I understand it, but that's something that I definitely didn't know. That like I didn't know how important like having a consistent heat level was under a certain pen name, or having kind of a consistent tone or voice. Like somebody asked me to do like a dark romance, and I actually like dark romance, but I think that I'm gonna not write the dark romance under Kilby Blades.
Oh, girl. Well, whenever you write it, just tell me who I need to look up under to get it.
Yeah.
I love dark romance and extra spicy. Give it to me. I love it. Absolutely love it. Tell people quit tripping. They're always tripping about something.
Yeah.
All right, Kevin. Let's see. All right, we did good with the time. This is bringing us to the last question of the interview. But before we ask our last question, please tell everybody all things Kilby Blades. Where can they go to get your books and all your social media handles?
So I'm Kilby Blades on Instagram and Twitter, and I have a private Facebook group called Kilby's Corner that if you join my newsletter, you can find out about it. I actually give away a lot of books on Kilby's Corner. So like I just said, I only read audiobooks, but I have a lot of other books. So like I will walk into a bookstore and I will spend $100 on books that I know I'm never going to read just because I like bookstores.
Right.
And because I want to support certain authors, like all kinds of reasons. But long story short, at this point I have about 150 books. So I just give them away. I have something called Kilby's Candy Store, and I just send them to readers because I know that other people will appreciate paperbacks, and I know that I don't read them anymore.
Right.
So if you join Kilby's Corner, join my newsletter, I do a ton of book giveaways.
I absolutely love it. That's what's so you like me. I'll go in, even if I get the books for free for the show, I'll still go and just purchase it because you like you say, you want to support. Absolutely love it. All right, Kilby, last question. If you were writing a book about your life, what would the title be?
I don't know if this is about I've always wanted to write a book called Trying to Make $1 Out of 15 Cents. I've always wanted to write a book with that title. I don't know if it's exactly about my life, but I've definitely have a lot of experiences that line up to that. Like whether it's about a relationship or whether it's about like being in a circumstance with I definitely had moments in my life where it felt like that was what was going on, and I've always wanted to write a book that loosely correlated to that.
Okay. How to Make a Dime Out of 15 Cents. Girl, that's like everyday life right there, honey. I absolutely love it. Ladies and gentlemen, Brown Book Series, please give a very warm applause and welcome and all that good stuff to USA Today's bestseller author of romance and women's fiction, Miss Kilby Blade. Kilby, thank you so much for being a part of our show.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
All right, you guys, y'all know what to do. Hey, make sure you like, subscribe, and share. And for all your friends in the back who wasn't able to catch us, replay. Yeah, we do replay. And go and find Kilby Blade and everything Kilby, buy all her books. Go to her, get her newsletter so she can give you some free more books, some more friends. So just do everything. And we'll see you guys on next week. Bye. Bye, Kilby.
Open up your brown book, baby. It's for you, it's for us. The fantasies, no one can judge us, no one can judge us. This is for us. Open up your brown book, baby.